So what you want to focus on instead is allowing your lower body to draft behind your upper body, much like a small car behind a big car on the highway. And you do that by maintaining. This is Tim Ferriss, circa 1979 AD, age 2. You can tell by the power squat, I was a very confident boy, and not without reason. I had a very charming routine at the time, which was to wait until late into the evening when my parents were decompressing from a hard day's work, doing their crossword puzzles, watching television. I would run into the living room, jump up on the couch, rip the cushions off, throw them on the floor, scream at the top of my lungs, and run out. Because I was the Incredible Hulk. Obviously, you see the resemblance. And this routine went on for some time. When I was 7, I went to summer camp. My parents found it necessary for peace of mind. And at noon each day, the campers would go to a pond where they had floating docks, and you could jump off the end into the deep end. I was born premature. I was always very small. My left lung had collapsed when I was born, and I've always had buoyancy problems, so water was something that scared me to begin with. But I would go in on occasion. And on one particular day, the campers were jumping through inner tubes, or diving through inner tubes, and I thought this would be great fun. So I dove through the inner tube, and the bully of the camp grabbed my ankles. And I tried to come up for air, and my lower back hit the bottom of the inner tube. And I went wild-eyed, and I thought I was going to die. And a camp counselor fortunately came over, separated us, and from that point onward, I was terrified of swimming. And that is something that I did not get over. And my inability to swim has been one of my greatest humiliations and embarrassments. And that is when I realized that I was not the Incredible Hulk. But there's a happy ending to this story. At age 31, that's my age now, in August, I took 2 weeks to re-examine swimming and question all of the obvious aspects of swimming, and went from swimming one lap, so 20 yards like a drowning monkey, at about 200 beats per minute heart rate, I measured it, to going to Montauk on Long Island, close to where I grew up, and jumping into the ocean, swimming 1 kilometer open water, getting out and feeling better than when I went in. And I came out, my Speedos, European style, feeling like the Incredible Hulk. And that's what I want everyone in here to feel, like the Incredible Hulk at the end of this presentation. More specifically, I want you to feel like you're capable of becoming an excellent long-distance swimmer, a world-class language learner, and a tango champion. And I would like to share my art, if I have an art. It's deconstructing things that really scare the living hell out of me. So, moving on. Swimming, first principles. First principles, this is very important. I find that the best results in life are often held back by false constructs and untested assumptions. And the turnaround in swimming came when a friend of mine said, I will go a year without any stimulants. This is a 6 double espresso per day type of guy, if you can complete a 1 kilometer open water race. So the clock started ticking. I started seeking out triathletes because I found that lifelong swimmers often couldn't teach what they did. And I tried kickboards. My feet would slice through the water like razors. I wouldn't even move. I would leave demoralized, staring at my feet. Hand paddles, everything. Even did lessons with Olympians. Nothing helped. And then Chris Sacca, who's now a dear friend of mine, had completed an Ironman with a 103-degree temperature, said, I have the answer to your prayers. And he introduced me to the work of a man named Terry Laughlin, who's the founder of Total Immersion Swimming, and that set me on the road to examining biomechanics. So here are the new rules of swimming, if any of you are afraid of swimming or are not good at it. The first is forget about kicking. Very counterintuitive. So it turns out that propulsion isn't really the problem. Kicking harder doesn't solve the problem because the average swimmer only transfers about 3% of their energy expenditure into forward motion. The problem is hydrodynamics. So what you want to focus on instead is allowing your lower body to draft behind your upper body, much like a small car behind a big car on the highway. And you do that by maintaining a horizontal body position. The only way you can do that is to not swim on top of the water. The body's denser than water. 95% of it would be, at least, submerged naturally. So you end up, number 3, not swimming in the case of freestyle, on your stomach, as many people think, reaching on top of the water, but actually rotating from streamline right to streamline left, maintaining that fuselage position as long as possible. So let's look at some examples. This is Terry, and you can see that he's extending his right arm below his head and far in front, and so his entire body really is underwater. And the arm is extended below the head is held in line with the spine, so that you use strategic water pressure to raise your legs up. Very important, especially for people with lower body fat. And then here's an example of the stroke. So you don't kick, but you do use a small flick. So you can see this is the left extension, and then you see his left leg, small flick, and the only purpose of that is to rotate his hips so he can get to the opposite side. And the entry point for his right hand, notice this, he's not reaching in front and catching the water. Rather, he is entering the water at a 45-degree angle with his forearm, and then propelling himself by streamlining. Very important. Incorrect above, which is what almost every swimming coach will teach you. Not their fault, honestly, and I'll get to implicit versus explicit in a moment. And then below is what most swimmers will find enables them to do what I did, which is going from 21 strokes per 20-yard length to